An arm is merely a decoration. The act of applause is the accumulation of the soul. What's up, my brother? This is Enemy Stand User, and today's video is quite special, as you can probably tell. Because we're discussing the best character in JJK, the smartest character in JJK, the tall woman, big booty loving, muscle headed gorilla, Aoi Todo. Todo is a very eccentric, a very haughty, a very forth-going person in the series, being very eccentric. Every time he's shown in the series, or every time he's on screen, you just see him. He's going to impress something upon you, and you just can't help but to get hyped right along with that character. And that's really what Gigi was going for. It's so awesome to see Todo, and being this bombastic and this really crazy person. Let's first discuss his kind of main quirk, his kind of main point as a character, or his kind of funny little gimmick, and that is his question when he's on screen, and when he was asking Megumi in chapter 16 in the series of what type of girls do you like. And this quirk is really simple, and it's really kind of silly, but if you answer wrong, or if you're considered boring by Todo standards, you're gonna know, because he will beat the crap out of you. He's going to beat you to death, man, because as Todo would know, he is dead serious about his friends or people's preferences in general. He doesn't like boring people, and he only accepts that sort of taste, and that taste matters to him. And he definitely has good taste. He's got his priorities straight. Tall women with big butts, he's definitely got it all figured out. But even if others take this simple meat-headed like tendency, and they want to just write him off as just another crazy character, just another crazy dude, they would definitely be mistaken, because Todo has a lot more to him. He has so much more than he seems. And Todo, he definitely is a battle-ready warrior, and his attitude shows that in the different conversations that he has, and he wants to get right into the action. He doesn't want to stop at all, and he's looking for that opponent, or that friend, really more an opponent that will really entertain that thrill for him and give him that fight. And eventually he did find that brother, which will entertain his own beliefs and his own sort of preference, and that would be Yuji Itadori in the Goodwill Event arc. And there's a lot to sort of break down and pick about on Yuji and Todo's relationship, but I kind of wanted to talk about that while breaking down Todo's character as a fighter, and how his power stacks up in this series and in this battle manga. Now, to me, regarding Todo, I don't care what anyone would say. To me, Todo is one of the top 5 actual fighters, literal fighters in the series. And again, that's strictly just like hand-to-hand combat, and actually applying cursed energy control to that combat without any sort of curse-like technique, or that sort of technique or power. I would say it's just strictly hands. And Todo, he just exudes this sort of aura about him. He's one of the most competent fighters in JJK that I would say. And you know, he just casually has 530,000 IQ CPU mind, all self-proclaimed, but you know, he seems to believe so. So he has this belief in himself, and I truly do have respect for this character that Akutami made. And Also, the anime with Kimura did a absolutely excellent job with his voice acting, and it just brought him to a whole different level, especially like when you talk about BROTHA, and it just brought him to life so much. And when Todo does engage in fighting, he truly does not hesitate at all. Even if he isn't the most powerful around, he isn't the greatest, he still believes in his own strength, and he no doubt just every single blow he does, every blow for blow, he believes in what he's achieving. And when he hits hard. He hits really hard, giving his all with that warrior-like mentality. And he wants that thrill, and he just muscles through everything. And he definitely giving it all. He has that brother-like mentality.
Kumo hitotsu ne. Thank you so much, best friend!
But what is truly amazing and interesting about Todo is his relationship with Yuji Itadori and the details that go along with it. And initially, Todo gave him that sort of bombastic brother-like test. He didn't really think nothing of him. He was really rushing him and trying to see what he actually got. But hearing and seeing Yuji's tenacity and what Yuji's own sort of preference was, Todo was so emotional, and he felt so much emotion that he entered this false memory dreamlike state, almost like he entered like a domain of some sort, but he just inserted Yuji into his own sort of memory, or distorted sort of memory, into like this slice of life situation in school, like they've been best friends forever since like they were kids or something. And it's really insane seeing Todo and Yuji like this. Like Yuji doesn't know this dude, and even Todo has like tears, like he's finally found this brother. He can't wait, and this friend that he can engage with and that he understands, even if it is this simple rule, this simple preference that he has for women that they have. It's like their minds are kind of in sync with one another, and even he even goes against what his other peers were saying at Kyoto High with killing Itadori. No, he wanted him for himself. He was protecting Itadori. He's like, no, he's all mine. I got him. But little did Yuji know this was just the beginning of just greatness. And Yuji and Todo, now that even though Todo did like Yuji, he was still gonna test him even further, and he was gonna see if he was truly worthy of being his friend. And he just seeing Todo in that state, he was just like, it's like he's finally found a partner. He was like, it's wraps, we got him. And he was trying to mold Itadori into this excellent fighter, and he did, and he jump-started his growth as a cursed fighter. And whether Yuji knew it or not, fighting with Todo and fighting with Todo, he was getting more and more in sync with his brother, and to the point where they could actually rely on each other. And you could see that Yuji, the more he fought, the more he was getting more, the way it was illustrated and the way it seemed, he was getting battle hungry. He was getting more fierce with his fights, and you could tell he was really growing as he was fighting in the manga, as he fought with his brother Todo. And he was really enjoying that growth. And while the fighting, they have a really powerful influence on one another, and Todo just gave him the tools that he needed to like spread his wings and to reach new heights as a sorcerer. And he helped Yuji grasp like crazy high level techniques, like Black Flash for instance, and it just skyrocketed Yuji's growth and his own talent in the series. But mentioning both Todo and Itadori fighting with one another, they were interrupted by the special grade curse Hanami, at the Goodwill event arc, and when the curses did invade, so both as sorcerers, both of them, they engaged in battle, and that battle, man, that was probably one of the most stunning, one of the most intense and visually pleasing battles in the series of Jujutsu Kaisen. It was truly beautiful, just the amount of tenacity each opponent had from one another, and how in tune that their own battle sort of prowess was. Because it's not like Yuji and Itadori had some broken end-all ability or some one-shot attack, but they had each other though. And when they understood this, that they were truly brothers, they were giving it their all to crush Hanami, leading to just an amazing battle, pushing everyone's limits, even Hanami giving her tenacity up and her prowess up as well. And what's really good about Todo is his innate awareness of the situation and how he forces others to grow around him, teammates and his enemies and opponents. You have to fight him smart. You have to learn and adapt, or else you're just going to get crushed. And even not having a domain expansion himself, what really helps his curse technique is his own power, Boogie Woogie, which simply lets him switch with his opponent or to switch with others in places and with other things with curse energy by clapping his hands. And we see this in this this ability, I can't explain it. It's so perfect for the type of character and the type of way Todo actually fights. And if you're kind of familiar with fighting games and things like that, like 50-50 mix-ups and things like that, that is exactly what Todo is doing. He's breaking that middle ground, and he's really keeping that battle in this sort of tug of war, and he's mixing up his opponents. And you could definitely tell, if you were to fight Todo for the first time, you would get mixed, because that technique is so disorienting. Even fighting other special grades like Mahito, for example, he just got so confused. And you know, Mahito is an extremely adaptive fighter. I would say Mahito is one of the most versatile and adaptive fighters in the series. And even he got confused when he was affected by Boogie Woogie. Even if he knew it was coming, it was still disorientating. And he just got mixed. So Todo, just to go over his power a little bit more, he has experienced Black Flash, and he has phenomenal control over his own cursed energy. And with his cursed energy, he's able to use it to do things like to harden his body, for example. And he even has his own simple domain that he inherited from Yuki. And he's just truly an awe-inspiring sorcerer. It's someone you could really look up to in the series. And he is really the perfect sort of coach, the perfect friend, and the perfect brother for Yuji. And he really connects with Yuji on a very deep level and a very awe-inspiring level, just skyrocketing Yuji's growth and as a sorcerer, and just really being an excellent friend for him.
続けるに決まっているだろう。
その心は
一つ、個人を忍ぶのは当人とゆかりのある者たちの特権だ。俺たちが立ち入る問題ではない。二つ、人死にが出たのならば、なおさら俺たちに求められるのは強くなることだ。後天的強さとは結果の積み重ね。敗北をかみしめ勝利を味わう。そうやって俺たちは成長する。結果は結果としてあることが一番重要なんだ。
東堂先輩って意外としっかりしてるんですね。しっかりいかれてんのよ。
The thing about Todo is that really in the series, others don't really get or really understand how he is, or what his why his tendencies are like this, and they want to write him off, especially his peers, as like a muscle-headed and just a jerk or a douche. But they know how impressive he is, and that he's really a good sorcerer and an excellent, reliable person and a sorcerer. So, and they can't really put up with him and his sort of bold taste, and they find him really annoying, especially in that baseball scene. You just know everyone just couldn't stand him.
次回お前がピッチャー
Todo! しっかりしろ！
ナイスピッチナイピー
ナイピー
マキさんナイピー
ナイスピッチ
ナイピー
ナイピー
ナイ
ピーナイピー
Todo、お前むちゃくちゃ嫌われてるな。
But the way he is and his intensity, he just comes off. He doesn't really rub good with people, even Jujutsu sorcerers, which are a little crazy. He doesn't even rub well with them, but still. It was even mentioned, even how he was with his hygiene and how he kept himself clean for his love, Tadaka-chan, which is an idol in the series. But that just annoys the heck out of Mai and Momo, who they want to view him as a musclehead, but he really is a reliable and excellent character, even if he doesn't always show those traits. But he really hits off with Yuji, though. Yuji is one exception, and even Yuji doesn't really know why, but this connection with those fake memories really had a strong impact on Todo. And whether they're real or not, they're definitely not real, but still they share this same simple preference as brothers, and they really act as one, kind of sharing. I would say they would share the same sort of wavelength with one another, and they have this really strong connection. But also I would really like to see like other examples or other interactions Todo would have with other characters we didn't see him with, such as Yuta and Chozo. That would be very, very interesting, because Todo really wants to fight Yuta, even if it is just competitive. He wants to fight him, and Chozo, who is very powerful, and both could potentially be brothers, but Chozo actually being Yuji's brother, that would just be so that would be weird, and it would be awesome to see just how that interaction would be between all three of those characters, and all four including Yuji. I don't know how that will go when they meet, but they eventually will all meet when all this craziness is going on, or when it's done for. That'd be an amazing interaction.
My best friend.
How encouraging Todo is also helps too, when at a certain time in the story, Yuji, at a particular time, he was at a really bad point. He was at a really low point when seeing both his friend Nobara and his sensei Nanami essentially die in front of him, and him thinking about his own losses as a series, his own failures as a Jujutsu sorcerer. Yuji, he was really down bad, and him thinking about letting Sukuna rampage and do his own thing, and he's just completely without a thing Yuji could do. And at that point, Yuji's will was completely shattered, and it broke, and he was at Mahito's mercy. Because he couldn't accept Mahito, and he couldn't just accept all this pain in his situation at that time as a sorcerer. But at the very, very last moment, we see that Todo saved him, and this is the words that he expressed that encouraged Yuji. The sound of Gaion soldier bells echoes the impermanence of all things. The color of Sala flowers reveals the truth that the prosperous must decline. However, we are the exception. Wake up, brother. Our battle has just begun. Brother, you're a man amongst men. Don't limit yourself to such narrow-mindedness. We are Jujutsu sorcerers. You and I, Kugisaki, Mr. Nanami, all of our allies, together, we are Jujutsu sorcerers. As long as we live, our friends who have passed away will truly not have been defeated. It is not about our sins or punishment. The moment we become Jujutsu sorcerers, our lives cannot be limited to such misfortunes. Looking for meaning or logic in death can at times defile the memories of those we've lost. Even so, what have you been entrusted with? You don't need to answer that right now. However, until you find your answer, never stop moving. For those of us who live as Jujutsu sorcerers, that is the punishment we must endure. What can I truly say? Todo is just a man amongst men, and the words that he says and the quotes that he reads and remembers are so powerful. They have this prominence, and nothing is permanent in the series, and he knows Jujutsu sorcerers have this responsibility, and they don't have the blessing to be worried about the different intricacies of life, and they need to keep moving. They never stop moving. They need to keep enduring in this crazy cursed world, and that's dark. It's really dark, and Todo understands this, and he's really trying to encourage Yuji to do the right thing and to keep trudging on, even if it is so difficult. It is so difficult for Yuji, but he keeps going, and Yuji needs to understand this. He needs to accept Mahito, and he needs to overcome and endure Mahito's own ferocity, Mahito's madness, because Mahito's just doing his own thing. He's so, at this point in time, he's just enjoying torturing Yuji in this way and killing his allies and making him just agonize in his mind. But just to go away from that just a little bit and to talk about Todo and his values and how he was brought up a little bit more, and how all this was instilled in him. We might in more detail would be brought up later, and he was brought up in this Jujutsu world by Yuki Tsukumo, the special grade sorcerer woman, and that's impressive. She's a special grade in her own right, and we'll get to see what she could do later in the series. But it seemed like she kind of took Todo under her own wing, and when he was a kid, and we see the scene, he was a really strong kid. He was really forthgoing, and he was already strong, but that training with Tsukumo, it was probably definitely rough, because that's actually how he got that scar on, I think it's his left eye, but I could be wrong. But he definitely went through some tough stuff with Yuki, and that's also how he got that famous sort of mindset, or that sort of preference from Yuki in that famous "what's your type of woman" question. So the Todo, we see he's grown into quite the impressive sorcerer, quite the capable person, showing an extremely strong willpower and very wise words and a very wise mind, even while fighting this monster that is Mahito and all different types of horrors and stuff from different special grades. His conviction and his will is still running high, and that's all. I would say it would be thanks to Yuki, and it would also be thanks to his own will. Todo's conviction showed even further when both Yuji and Todo fought Mahito toward the last sort of stage, and that at that point Mahito was really at his high point, and he was really growing as a cursed spirit, and he was really ferocious and intense, and at that time he was really pushing Todo to more than what he could handle, more toward his breaking point. But even then, Todo still had that extremely strong conviction, and he continued to really push through his own limits. And we see again, like he loses his hand. he loses his hand and Mahito rushes at him like he's going to do the same thing that he did to Nobara, the same thing he did to Nanami, and he was going to break Yuji's will even further. But no, Todo wasn't having any of that. He was like, boogie woogie for the win. Boogie woogie for the win. Man, he was really a true brother, right? And then he went out like a champ. And that was just so awesome to see Todo in that moment. And he just has this aura about him. But we see him again. He just has so many cool moments. We see him again. And this is the last time we've ever actually seen him thus far in the story. And it really shows his greatness even further. And this is what the manga reads. Listen closely, cursed spirit. There is no way you do not know this. An arm is merely a decoration. The act of applause is an accumulation of the soul. Sorry, my boogie woogie curse technique is already dead. So once again, Todo for the win, and his technique boogie woogie for the win. Man, it is so awesome to see Todo in this moment. It is one of his greatest moments, and I will remember those words always. And I think what he did is something like an innate rule in the series. It's called showing one's hand or showing one's card, which is a commonly used binding valve that is used to mislead one's opponent in the series into kind of tricking them into thinking what their power actually is and what it actually isn't. And I could definitely be wrong about that, but Mahito definitely got mixed up bad. Like he got his ankles broken, man. And it just allowed Yuji to deliver the final blow, and it ultimately ended the battle between them. But for real, his technique, it can't be really gone, right, Gigi? It can't. You can't do that. No, you wouldn't do that to us, Gigi. You wouldn't take away the boogie woogie, right? Right? Please, no, please, Gigi. You didn't take away the boogie woogie. That's too much fun. But seriously, as skilled as Todo is, he's only gonna get stronger from here, and I'm sure he's alive. He's only getting stronger, and he'll probably unlock some other technique to compensate for his injuries, or maybe he'll even get his own domain, and that would be really awesome. And that might even incorporate into the sort of false memory type flower petal yandere type scene, and maybe it'll involve something with Tadaka-chan or something like that. We'll get to know when we see the story further. But Todo, to me, is very, very inspirational. He is truly a really, really nice character that Gigi made, and his inspiration even goes beyond the manga. And for me personally, he inspired me to improve upon myself. He really was a really big jumpstart for this channel as a whole. Even if it for me, it helps me a lot personally get my thoughts together, get my thoughts out a little bit more. And now he's improving, not him, but improving my own self to try to do calisthenics more and to exercise more, lose weight more, and things like that. Just, it's really silly, but it's kind of whatever you have to have a sort of motivation, and Todo was that motivation. And it's really awesome to see how this character can kind of do that for someone, and it's really awesome to see. So definitely expect like a Todo type transformation video or something like that, but in the coming months. But guys, please do comment what you guys think about the video, and maybe share some of your favorite Todo moments, or what you particularly like about the series. I would truly like to hear what your own type of input is on that. But
Congratulations, brother.
thank you guys for watching the video and checking it out to the end. I know I'm trying some new stuff and trying to improve upon the channel and things like that. And please consider to like and subscribe the video and to really show that you are a true brother in the channel, and to really do show your appreciation for that. But the next video I might either do like maybe top 10, top 5 fights in this actual fights in the series breakdown, or maybe a breakdown on my theories or on everything we know about the Shibuya incident and the transition into the Culling game, things like that. But guys, you guys stay safe out there and you have a good one. Thank you. Bye-bye.